Thank you for the intro, Mark, and thank you to all of you who have joined us this morning during these crazy and unprecedented times. One bright spot to COVID-19, I got to attend my first video wedding this weekend, which was actually pretty cool. So I thought I'd begin with a quick who is NSI, who is Network Solutions, and what do they do. My dad founded the company 31 years ago. I've been here about 25 years and took over about 5 years ago. As you might guess from our name, our focus back in the 1980s and 90s was connecting people to the networks, building networks and connecting people. Then one day, the CIO of one of our hospital clients called us up and said, hey, this wireless network you put in place for us, are people from the parking lot supposed to be able to get on my wireless network? Which was one of our first indicators that connecting people to networks is great, but connecting them securely to networks is even better. So our four core values are honoring God with our work, providing extraordinary customer experience, teamwork, and strategic vision. As you might imagine, the field of information technology is pretty complex and fast-moving. So strategic vision can be a challenge. Sometimes we get so focused on the new technology, like, oh, look at this, we can connect computers to a network without wires. This is great, wireless. Sometimes we forget to look ahead at the impacts of the technology. In light of COVID-19, our top three priorities are right now are probably very similar to yours. Keep our staff safe, take great care of our customers, and then take care of the people in our community who are or will be hurting. Keeping my staff safe, in our case, means allowing them to work from home without introducing additional security risks to the organization. About 2 weeks ago, we began encouraging our folks to work from home as much as they can. Taking care of our customers means enabling our staff to work from home without sacrificing productivity and without increasing their security risks. So as Mark alluded, we have partnered with Cisco to create at least 90 days worth of free licensing, depending on how long coronavirus lasts, both for their security software licenses and WebEx enterprise licenses. And then we've built a provisioning implementation plan. So not only will we provision the WebEx setup, but also train your trainers, and then also provide all the training documents that would allow your end users to know how to share their screen and be on video and set up calls and that kind of stuff. I'll just say one side note. Since we sent our people home a couple weeks ago, we're seeing things that we hadn't necessarily anticipated. But some people, as an example, are getting like cabin fever, being at home, and so we're having virtual lunches or virtual check-ins with your team at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something, and the socialization aspect of it was it's useful, along with the productivity. It's useful for our people. So lastly, if we keep our staff safe, if we all keep our collective staff safe, and we take care of our clients, then we're in a better position to help the people in our community who are going to be in need. We've all seen our local schools and restaurants and bars and shopping malls all shutting down, and we know that's going to be impacting our neighbors' ability to support their families. And we just want to be able to do everything we can do to help those people. Also, just before we get into it, I want to take a quick moment and recognize our healthcare workers. My goodness, what a courageous group! What a hardworking, dedicated group, and I think we all owe them a thank you. So, real quick then, to get to the main reason we're here today, security. Yeah, as you know, our representative from the FBI had an emergency, so I'm going to share a summarized version of his message, along with a summarized version of a different FBI security expert's message, Mark Goodman. Mark Goodman would argue that in the past, if you wanted to steal money, you probably created a plan to rob a bank, and then you performed the robbery. If you were successful and you weren't in jail, you wanted to rob a second bank, you prepared a second plan, and then you hopefully successfully repeated the plan. but it was a linear process. You did the effort, you went and robbed one bank. Now, if you want to steal money, steal data, you prepare for the event, which might be writing code for a ransomware attack, but then you don't just attack one bank or just one organization. You send your malicious code to hundreds or thousands of banks or potential targets. The theft now is growing exponentially, not linearly, making it just a much more significant issue. So Alex Middleton looks at security from a global perspective. In a nutshell, many foreign governments, and specifically the Chinese government, don't look at data theft the way we do. For almost 15 years, the Chinese government has set a big, audacious goal to become the world's foremost subject matter experts in over 50 areas that they believe will shape our global future. Areas such as artificial intelligence, biotechnology, aerospace, quantum computing, medical sciences. China's now in their third five-year plan to achieve this goal. And so the question is, how's their plan coming along? Well, one of the common ways to determine a country's expertise on a given subject area is to measure the number of published papers on the topic. 20 years ago, China wasn't in the top 10 list of countries who had published the most papers on current and future technology. China now ranks first in the world in more than half of these current and future technology categories. World's largest companies. 20 years ago, none of the 25 largest companies in the world were China-based companies. Today, more than half are China-based companies. 7 of the 10 largest cell phone companies in the world are based in China. Interesting, and I think so relevant. In the U.S., if someone wants to see the data stored on your phone, they're required to have a search warrant. In China, the government has the right to see what's on your phone 24/7. So cell phone manufacturers in China design their phones to allow remote access into the phones. So it's a different culture. Alex could provide many, and he does, many more examples that seem to indicate that China's government is making significant progress towards its goal of becoming the world's foremost experts in many technologies. So what is China's government's strategy to reach this goal? How are they doing it? Number one, if they don't have technology that they want, they try to steal it. That is their strategy. They're open about it. They don't look at data theft the way we do. In the U.S., if someone is caught stealing your data, our government punishes them. In China, the government is actually the one sponsoring the data theft in many cases. And number two, co-development. If a non-Chinese company wants to open a business in China, the Chinese government requires them to partner with a China-based host company. The China-based host company is given an opportunity to learn the business of the foreign company, and eventually could become the foreign company's competitor. And then, as a last resort, if they can't steal it and they can't get it through this hosting the foreign company, ultimately they'll buy it, the technology, and they can afford to buy the technology because data theft is a lucrative business. Every birth date, every home address, every social security number, every phone number has value on the gray market. So every stolen record brings revenue, just as every ransomware attack brings in revenue. 2 years ago, there were about 7 billion devices connected to the internet, about one per person in the world. By next year, there will be 50 billion devices on the internet, thanks to the explosion of Internet of Things. IP sensors and devices with remote internet access, such as smart speakers like Alexa or thermostats or appliances or IP LED lighting, cars, pacemakers. Pacemakers is a scary one to think of. A ransomware attack on I'm hacked into somebody's pacemaker, and unless you give me money, yeah, I'll turn it off. But the sad part is right now experts are estimating 70% of IoT devices are hackable. So just every device that you put on your network is a potential opportunity for hackers, whether they're from China or from Russia or from anywhere else. The key is to understand that security threats are real. So it's critical to be able to do 3 things. Number one, assess your own security vulnerabilities. Number 2, put controls in place to prevent data theft. And then number 3, develop and test your response plan to minimize the damage and costs when data theft does occur.